They say jade protects its wearer, but what most people never realize is this. Jade doesn't just protect you, it also records how you treat it, and sometimes it remembers longer than you do. I want to start with a simple question. Right now, if you are wearing a jade bangle, which wrist is it on? And be honest with yourself. Have you ever stacked more than one because it looked better together? Don't answer too quickly, because by the end of this, some of you will realize what looks beautiful on the camera might already be quietly damaging what you thought was unbreakable. And by the way, I'm Professor Cat, the jade educator. Now, the reason I'm telling you this is simple. Over the years, I've worked with collectors, inherited pieces passed down through generations, and yes, family disputes that started over a single broken bangle. And there's always one pattern. It's never the dramatic mistakes that destroys jade, it's the small, repeated, harmless ones. So, let's start with the first one. Taboo number 1. When beauty becomes pressure, stacking jade. On social media, stacking jade looks effortless. 2 bangles, soft clinking sound, elegant wrist movement. It looks like wealth, it feels like status, but jade doesn't experience it that way. Jade experiences it as friction. Let me tell you about a woman I once worked with in Singapore. She inherited a pale icy jade bangle from her grandmother, a piece she never took off. Years later, she bought a second one in Hong Kong. Brighter, more vivid, more modern luxury. She wore both to a charity dinner. And at first, nothing happened. That's the dangerous part, because damage doesn't announce itself immediately. It waits. She leaned against a marble table while reaching for her glass. Just a small movement, a soft contact, no sound at first. Then later that night, a faint line appeared inside the jade, and within days, that line became a fracture. What shocked her wasn't that it broke, it was which one broke. Not the new one, the heirloom. The one she thought was stronger because it was older. That's when she told me something I still remember. I thought I was upgrading my style, not risking my history. And here's what most people misunderstand about jade. It is not fragile in the way glass is fragile. It doesn't shatter easily, but it remembers impact, especially repeated micro impact, which is exactly what stacking creates. 2 jade pieces are never truly together. They are constantly negotiating space, and eventually something gives. So I want to ask you something directly. If you had to choose, would you rather look more impressive for one night or protect something that cannot be replaced for a lifetime? So here's what most people get surprised, because stacking itself is not the real issue. The issue is what you stack it with. Jade with jade, that is the highest risk. But jade with softer materials like resin, agate, gold spacing, that changes everything, because suddenly it is not collision anymore. It becomes rhythm. It becomes controlled movement instead of uncontrolled impact. And that brings us to something most people never think about. Jade is not just an object you wear. It is an object you negotiate with. Every wrist movement is a silent agreement. Now, before we move to the second taboo, I want you to do something small. Look at your wrists. Imagine 2 jade bangles sitting there. Now, imagine them tapping each other every time you type. Every time you reach for a door, every time you pick up your phone. Does it feel like aesthetic stacking, or does it start to feel like constant friction you never noticed before? Next, we go into something even more underestimated. Not what you wear on your wrist, but which hand you choose to carry your life with. Taboo number 2. Your dominant hand is quietly destroying your jade. Most people doesn't lose jade in dramatic movement, they lose it in ordinary ones. A door handle, a car seat buckle, a kitchen counter edge. A sudden reach you didn't think twice about, and that's exactly the problem, because jade doesn't break the intention, it breaks from repetition. Let me explain. There was a woman I once worked with in London, a lawyer, very precise, very composed. She wore a lavender jade bangle she bought during a trip to Asia. Beautiful piece, clean stone, slightly translucency under light. But she wore it on her right wrist because she said it felt more balanced aesthetically. What she didn't realize was this: she was right-handed, and her right hand wasn't just a hand. It was her most active collision point with the world. Every signature, every coffee cup, every courtroom door, very quickly gesture in conversation. That wrist was constantly in motion, and jade does not care about your schedule. It only responds to physics. At first, nothing happened. That's always how it starts. Jade doesn't complain. It absorbs quietly, silently, until it can't. One day, she noticed something small, a faint line near the inner curve of the bangle, barely visible, almost psychological. She told herself it was lightning, or dirt, or stress, anything except damage, because accepting damage means accepting loss, and people rarely do that early. A month later, she was in an elevator after court. She dropped her file folder, reflexively bent down. Her wrist brushed the metal edge of a handrail. A soft sound, almost nothing. But Jade doesn't need that loud impact. It needs the right angle. That night, it fractured. Clean, silent, final. And here's what she told me later. I didn't even hit it that hard. I just lived my life. That sentence stays with me, because that's the truth about Jade most people never learn. It is not about force. It is about lifestyle exposure. Now, here's the part most collectors eventually understand. Your dominant hand is not just a preference, it is a risk profile. If you are right-handed and wear Jade on the right wrist, you are essentially increasing contact probability by 60 to 80% depending on your daily activity patterns, not because you are careless, because life happens more on that side. This is why in traditional wear culture across parts of Asia, Jade is often placed on the non-dominant hand, not for superstition, but for preservation logic. Less movement, less collision, less silent accumulation of stress fractures. Now, I want to make this real for you. Think about today. How many times did your dominant hand hit a table edge, brush against metal, carry weight, twist under pressure? Now, imagine each of those movements transferred into mineral structure, not immediately visible, but stored like memory. And this leads to a question most people never ask. Are you wearing Jade for beauty in still moments or survival in moving ones? Because those two choices do not produce the same outcome. Now, before we move forward, I want to make something clear. This is not about fear, it is about awareness, because Jade doesn't demand perfection, it only exposes neglect over time. Next, we go into something even more controversial. The idea that wearing Jade on both wrists is either power or pressure, depending on how you carry it. Takeaway number 3. Both wrists, power, confusion, or controlled identity. If you wear Jade on both wrists, people will usually fall into two assumptions. They will either think you must be very protected or you don't know what you're doing. This is rarely a neutral reaction because visually it is wrong, but symbolically it is complicated. I once visited an old Jade collector in Myanmar. He didn't sell much anymore. He just kept pieces quietly, like a library no one reads. And then I asked him about dual wrist wearing. He didn't answer immediately. He just looked at my hands and then he said, most people think Jade is a decoration, but it is actually balance. That word stayed with me. Balance. Not access, not display. Balance. Historically, in royal contexts, especially during the Qing era, there were records and portraits of noble women wearing paired Jade bangles, not randomly, but intentionally matched sets, sometimes referred to in symbolism as complementary forces, one representing continuity, another one representing transition, together, stability. But here's where modern interpretation splits, because what used to be symbolic balance now becomes visually intensity. When both wrists are occupied, something subtle happens. Your hand movements change, you stop gesturing casually, you become more aware about your wrist, more controlled, more visible, even when you don't notice it consciously. I had a client in Hong Kong, an entrepreneur. She loved symmetry. If she wore one bracelet, she felt unfinished, so she wore two bangles, one on each wrist. She said it made her feel complete. But what she didn't realize was this: her movement became significantly more restrained over time, not physically, but psychologically. She stopped resting her arms casually on tables, stopped leaning into conversation, stopped forgetting her posture, because both wrists had become noticeable. And that's the hidden effect, not restriction of motion, but restriction of spontaneity. Now let's address the belief system side. Some feng shui interpretation says, left side receives energy, right side releases energy. So wearing Jade on both sides is said to create a loop, adoption and emission happening simultaneously. Some call it balance, others call it delusion. But here's what I have observed over years working with real wearers. It is not the numbers of bangles that changes energy, it is the intention behind visibility. Two wrists can mean power if you carry them like you are grounded in who you are, but the same setup can also mean insecurity if the purpose is to look more complete in the eyes of others. I remember a student telling me something very honest once. She said, when I wear both, I feel like I finally look like I belong to the world. And that sentence says everything, because Jade doesn't just sit on your wrist, it sits on your identity. Now, let's connect this back to something practical. From a preservation standpoint, dual wrist wearing also doubles exposure. More contact surfaces, more accidental knocks, more temperature variation, more movement stress. Even if each impact is small, the accumulation rate becomes faster. So the real question is not, can I wear Jade on both wrists? The real question is, what am I trying to express when I do? Because Jade is never neutral, it always amplifies either clarity or confusion. Now in the next section, we will go deeper into something even more misunderstood. Not how you wear Jade, but what happens when Jade becomes wrong for your body entirely. Size, fit, and the slow damage most people don't notice until it's too late. Taboo number 4, the wrong fit is a slow break. Most people think Jade only breaks from impact, but a tighter truth is this. Some Jade breaks from pressure you create yourself. A bangle that is too tight doesn't feel dangerous at first, it feels secure, like it belongs to you. But every time you twist your wrist slightly, there is internal stress. Not visible, not dramatic, just consistent. I once met a woman in Shanghai who forced her mother's Jade bangle onto her hand using soap and warm water. She cried when it finally went in, not from the pain, but from emotion. 6 months later, it came off in 2 pieces, not from a fall, from fatigue the stone had been holding silently the entire time. Taboo number 5, no provenance, no truth. A Jade piece without origin is just decoration, but a Jade piece with a fake story is worse, because now you are emotionally attached to something that is structurally uncertain. I've seen certificates that were perfect, stories that were rehearsed, photos that were staged, but Jade does not lie. Science eventually reveals what sentiment tries to hide. Taboo number 6, metal is not its friend. People love pairing Jade with luxury metals, gold, steel, diamonds. It looks modern, it looks expensive, but every contact is a micro abrasion. You don't see it today, you don't see it next month, but over years, the surface loses its original life reflection. Not broken, just dull. Taboo number 7, maintenance is not optional. Jade is not fragile, but it is responsive. It absorbs chemicals, oil, heat cycles. It remembers neglect in texture, not memory. A piece that is never cleaned properly doesn't crack. It fades internally. Taboo number 8, trends will mislead you. There was a time when only icy white Jade was correct. Then deep green became luxury. Then translucent became obsession. Then vivid apple green becomes status again. Jade does not evolve with trends, only attention does. And attention is the most expensive currency in this world. Taboo number 9. No story means no legacy. A Jade bangle without a story is just an object. But a Jade bangle with a story becomes inheritance. And one day someone will ask, where did this come from? And your answer will matter more than its price. Taboo number 10. Forgetting that Jade outlives you. This is the final misunderstanding. People think they own Jade, but in reality, you are only its temporary keeper. It passes hands, generations, contacts, meaning, and what you do with it today becomes someone else's memory tomorrow. Let me bring everything back together. Stacking, hand, feet, energy, metal, maintenance, story. None of these are really about superstition. They are about longevity management. Because Jade is one of the few things you own that can outlive your decisions. I once heard an old collector in Myanmar say something I never forget. You can tell me how a person understands Jade by how little they touch it unnecessarily. At first, I didn't understand that. Now I do. It is not about fear. It is about respect for material memory. So I want to leave you with this. Are you wearing Jade as a decoration, or are you currently holding something that will still exist after your story ends? Because those are not the same thing. If this made you rethink how you wear Jade, then there are 3 things you should do next. Learn how to identify real Jade versus treated Jade before you invest. Second, understand sizing and wear logic before you damage an heirloom. Third, learn how collectors usually store and rotate pieces long term. We have put together a full guide for that, not as superstition, but as preservation knowledge. Because once a piece breaks, no story can store it, only prevention can. You don't just wear Jade, you carry time in a cycle.